There's been a lot that I have had to think about this season so far. One thing has just been management, really. And I know we can say anything we want about John Henry, but something that I think is kind of cool about my takes is that I actually played baseball for a really long time too. So I played high school baseball. And then I also played for three junior colleges as well. So I kind of have some insight on a higher level of play, and so I kind of think that I know a little bit about the game, and so I can critique it a little bit more. But I just have really not been a fan of Alex Cora's management of this roster. Honestly, this entire year, I know that he's dealing with the logjam in the outfield. I know that's been a huge point of contention this year so far, and it was this entire offseason. Um, I also don't agree with Breslow's management and how he actually constructed his roster as well. And I know he's supposed to be a pitching guru, but I haven't seen a lot of that, with our trades of Quinn Priester to the Brewers and then Kyle Harrison to the Brewers as well in the Caleb Durbin trade. And I just don't like the roster mismanagement. So I guess one thing I really wanted to talk about was I think one of the reasons we're losing so many games the way that we are is because we're not getting guys consistent playing time, especially in the outfield. And so I kind of am a little bit more of an old school kind of baseball minded guy. But when you were trying to put a good product out on the field, right, day in, day out, something, and I know this at least for myself as a player, this is how I felt. But as a player, like you need to feel a sense of, you need to develop a sense of consistency by being in the lineup every single day. It's going to make you feel better about playing regularly, getting regular reps, at the plate and in the outfield too. And so I think that's something that we're seeing across the board with our offensive production and our defensive play. And I know Cora wants to get everyone in because he wants to rotate at bats. But, and I guess now is at least the time to do it at the beginning of the year. But yeah, I have not been a fan. For starters, I think that Jaron Duran needs to be in the lineup just about every single day. I mean, Duran needs to be batting leadoff. He's the spark plug of our offense. I've heard multiple people say it, but he creates havoc on the bases. I know that his steals were down last year, but he can still get you 20, 25. But not only that, too, he does put up a good at bat. I know something, too, that our offense has been struggling with. Um, the entire offense actually has been getting into deep holes and counts. I mean, I know Willier was off to a fantastic start of the season, but even Willier will get in these 0-2 holes. Duran will, Story, I already said Abreu. Durbin was early on. Contreras was. Rafaela. But virtually everyone on the roster was getting into these really, really deep counts early. And that's something, too, that's just going to obliterate your offense as well. And so something that I think we need more of is to have a true leadoff man and to actually see Duran in that spot, that leadoff spot every single day to get comfortable in it and to provide kind of a mainstay, to provide structure, something concrete for the entire lineup is going to really, really help, I think, catapult this offense. And I know to wrap up the Cardinals series, we did see actually them turning a corner, or at least we thought. But yeah, I want to see that because I really think that we have a better offense than it's looking right now. And I know even with that first game in Minneapolis that Duran hit a home run. Contreras hit two home runs in St. Louis in the Lou, but it just still doesn't feel like we're firing on all cylinders. And so that's why I think that constructing a lineup is really going to be vital and key for Cora to get dependable runs out of this offense as the year goes on. And so I think that's something that we're going to see. Um, I don't see how Cora can't do that. But so, and here's another thing too. I've always kind of been a fan of Cora. I know they say he's a coach. He's a player's coach. He's really good with personalities and with dealing with attitudes and egos. Even going back to Verdugo when he was still here, and then finally, enough was enough. Right, showing up late to practices all the time and everything. But I just don't. As time goes on and I'm getting more of a sample size and I'm getting to see more of Cora, I'm just not a huge fan. I mean, I'm a fan of him as a guy. I know he did the marathon run with his wife, or his girlfriend. I forget if he's married now. Well, no, they have kids, so his wife. Um, um, in Boston, right? So he did the marathon run. He was running back home too when he went back. And I know that he's great with managing players. He's played a big part in Bayo's development as a pitcher and talking to him. We saw that in the Netflix docuseries of the clubhouse, right? So we saw that. But I'm not in love with him as a manager. I mean, he's no Terry Francona, if I'm being frank, for me. So he's no Francona. I even thought John Farrell was pretty good. Granted, I was pretty young at the time, but I still thought John Farrell was pretty good too for early on in his tenure, at least. And he even won a World Series with the Sox. But and people want to point too to the 2018 team, and it's like you can't really point to that because he was given that team. That was the team he had when he was coming in. Xander had finally really Xander had really finally developed himself and his impact in the lineup. Xander always had the problems of when he was coming up through the system of trying to balance contact with power, and you see that in his early years. And you see him more as a contact kind of guy who lacks power. And then you see the average drop and his power numbers rise. But by then, 2018, Xander was in full form, was in all-star form. One of the best hitters on our entire lineup. Hitting for 25 to 30, 2 home runs, close to like 85 to 100 to 105 RBIs, and with like a close to a 300 batting average. I mean, rare form. That was a wonderful team, and at Devers too. You had and really when he came up. I mean, I know he struggled throughout his tenure here, but I mean, he could always hit a home run for us. So I just don't really like to give Cora credit for that 2018 team because he had most of the pieces in place. And whereas with Francona, you had a lot of personalities to manage on a team that hadn't won the World Series, in over 80 years. And I mean, the longest drought, and it won't be history, but I just see a lot of problems with this roster. And I know the construction is due to Breslow, but I just feel like we could have a manager that's doing a better job. I mean, I honestly feel like a lineup that I constructed, and I know this sounds, probably crazy, but a lineup that I constructed, I could construct one better than Cora. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into because for me, I think people don't hit on the lineup as much. And I listen to like Section 10 and like the Bastards of Boston Baseball. Really like them. They're great. Pot on Lansdowne, even with Fitzy Jake and forget the other one's name. I think it might be Liam. Yeah, I think it's Liam. But I just so Durant needs to be a leadoff for me for multiple reasons. Like I said, his speed, and he just when you have someone out of the gate like that who delivers speed and contact with a blend of power as well, it's just it puts the defense and the other team on full alert as soon as the game starts. You know, it's just they're now on the back foot. They're now having you're forcing their hand, and so you're making them pitch to you. Um, if you're able to get on or get into deeper counts too, you're gonna make the starting pitchers count rise as well earlier in the game, and so just a big personal fan of Duran being in the leadoff spot because he's a leadoff hitter. He's a true leadoff hitter with power now that he's come into as he's gotten stronger and stronger. He's just because the dude's just a workout freak. Loves being in the gym. I'll like see his reels on Instagram sometimes too. And even if you don't see that too, you can just tell the dude is built. I mean, absolutely built. So that's what I want to see. I need to see Duran in the leadoff spot every single day so that he's getting. And here's another thing too. We know about his mental health problems too. So his mental health troubles. I mean, don't you think that getting at bats consistently every single day is going to help him develop a sense of security and comfortability in the box? And so that's another thing for me too. I need to see more of that so that Duran can really benefit from all those reps. And I think that his numbers will improve as well. Not that they're bad by any means. I mean, yesterday he hit his first home run of the season. It was the 2-run bomb in Minnesota. So yeah, crochet, that's a whole other can of worms, but I think it'll be fine. But yeah, I need to see Duran in the leadoff spot so he can steal bases, get on, and start innings too. That's another thing. Not only the deep counts of the 0-2 counts, which is very quick, it's low on the pitcher's count too, so the starters can go deeper in the games. The starters who were giving us problems, but also we're getting it out. We're having 1, 2, 3 innings way too soon as well. So when that happens, and so if Duran's able to, he has a knack sometimes for getting hits to start games. And that just getting a runner on with no outs changes the complexion of the entire inning. And so I need to see more of that. And we have the pieces to do it, but for some reason, Cora doesn't want to commit. And look, I get that last year when Anthony came up, right? He was hitting the leadoff spot and he had like an on-base percentage, an OBP of like it was something crazy. It was like 460. It was between like 420 and 460, I think. It was in the 400s. And he became I think he became like a 3-WAR player basically within those. I mean, it was a small sample size, it was like 30 to 45 games, I think, that he played at the end of the year. And he generated 3-WAR from playing. And that amazing on base percentage. I completely understand that. But here's the thing for me, too. Anthony is younger. He's less developed. He spent less time in the league, and he's less proven. I'm not trying to take anything away from the player. Anthony's great, but he's younger. And what that means, too, is that I want to see our organization because, we've had this problem in the past. And I mean, I don't want to see a developmental problem again like Christian Campbell. And so I want to see Anthony, and I keep I keep commenting this in the Bastards of Boston Baseball. You should check them out. They're an awesome podcast, and they do live streams on YouTube as well. They're an awesome. I don't agree with all their takes, but they're very smart. They know the game too. But Anthony needs to be protected in the lineup. He has to be protected because this year has not been like last year. He has struggled very much so. Um, he's been drawing walks. We know that he has good plate discipline, but we can tell that he's pressing too right now in the box. And so another problem I have with Cora too, and the reason I say this is because I feel like this is a trend that we've seen now, and that Cora keeps repeating it. And so one of the problems I was going to say is that I also feel like he reacts very late to things. So like he will wait a longer amount of time to make a lineup change than I would. And it's not like I'm trying to make premature changes. I just mean that he'll wait like 8 games, and Story and Anthony will be struggling for like six or seven of those games. And it just bewilders me. I don't understand why he waits so long. It's very sensible for me to understand that. I was a center fielder. I actually just quit playing baseball this past year just because I have to focus on school now and graduating. But that's not the point. But yeah, I'm a center fielder. I'm a lefty lefty. I hit left and I throw left as well. Um, I played for 3 junior colleges, and it's like I can see when other guys are struggling and when they're pressing because I know what that's like. I was always a glove first guy too, and my bigger problems would be at the plate. And the thing too about hitting is that if you do have problems at the plate, they can be prolonged. So like having a bigger problem at the plate can wear down on your psyche and your mental approach. And so that's why with Cora, like he's an ex-player too. And he played in the big leagues. So or in the minor leagues at least. And so like I want to see him making these changes to help the team. And Roman should not be hitting leadoff. Roman has more potential, and he's even shown more power, especially in the WBC. I mean, those guys were no slouches, and he was hitting in big spots too, which is something that bewilders me a little bit. And I know that Boston fans can be really can be really tough and really hard on the team, but like we only want them to succeed. We want the best for them, and so with Roman, I really, really think Roman should be hitting third in the lineup. I mean, even second's better, but I've just been going over it in my head. I really think what Roman needs, kind of like Trevor's Story, and I was banging this drum too, because I'm a huge advocate of Trevor Story. He's great on the Rockies. He's a great bat. He's a great talent too. He's just struggled with a lot of injury throughout his career, and to see his setbacks too, back-to-back years in Boston is hard because the dude's a gamer. He just wants to play. He wants to go out there and he wants to do the best for the team for the team. And you can tell he's one of the guys where it's hard when he's not on the field. It takes a toll. And so when he fractured, I don't know if you guys know, but he didn't dislocate. He chipped. So he fractured on that dive in Anaheim. When he went to go dive for that ball, and he landed on it and twisted it funny. It kind of got pulled out of the socket, and then what happened is it rode up against it, and what I understand from it is that it chipped off a part of like the socket, basically of his like shoulder blade or whatever that part of the body goes into, and so that's why he was like writhing in pain. And you see Rafi, covering his face. But so just tough breaks and tough sledding for the guy for 2.5 years, and seeing him tear up in that post game was really tough for me. So I'm a huge Trevor Story advocate. But getting back to Anthony, basically, Anthony needs to be insulated and he needs to be protected in the lineup. And so hitting 3 will protect him, because if you put Duran at leadoff, first of all, that just forces the starting pitchers to pitch to Duran, because he's a better hitter now than he was when he was first coming up, and he has better plate discipline. I know the strikeouts have been higher this year, but I just think he needs to get back. And again, I think the strikeouts are higher and the production isn't as good because he hasn't been playing every single day. So again, it's like I know we have a surplus, especially in the outfield, but just you got to do what you got to do. Um, and so I think that Duran needs to be lead off, and that'll help insulate Anthony in the three hole. And the reason I say the three hole is because Anthony, I think, is a great blend of getting on base, power, and contact. He hits the ball hard. I know he beats the ball into the ground too much sometimes, but those singles will be okay if we keep the line moving. And so, excuse me. And so I really think that Anthony's power numbers will go up, his contact will go up, and I think you'll start to see him tense up a little bit less at the plate and calm down if he's moved to the three hole. I just don't know why Cora won't do it. It's driving me insane. Like I said, I know last year his on base percentage was really high for the remainder of the season that he came up for, but I need to see him in that three hole. There's really no way around it. I need to see Anthony in the three hole. Need to see Duran in the one hole. And I get what Cora's thinking too. The two hole's difficult, especially because Cora's kind of old school. He wants to rotate righty lefty, righty lefty. We have a lot of lefties on this team. So trying to find one, forcing Caleb Durbin into the two hole, it's not great. It's not great. And so that's something I'm kind of struggling with too. Durbin, something that is good is that Durbin now has been putting together a lot better at bats. He's been walking more, and Cora even cited that the reason that he's putting Durbin in the two hole is because he's not swinging at balls out of the strike zone. So that's good. It's good to know. And it's good to hear from Cora too, a concrete reason for why he's doing that. I still think that somebody else should be hitting the two hole. I was thinking earlier on the season, and this is something that I mean too about Cora. This is what I meant about Cora making changes later than you should be for the team to benefit earlier. Like Wong was 5 for 10 early in the season with 2 doubles. So that when I think about that, I'm like, okay, great. When Narvi needs a day of rest, or even if just Narvi isn't hitting because he's kind of going through a dry spell right now. Put Wong in the two hole, because then fine, Cora, you even have your lefty, right? You got Duran leading off lefty, then you got Wong too, right? 5 for 10, he's batting 500. It's not sustainable, but it's good for now. And then you've got Roman in the three hole. So now you're insulating him with 2 guys who are hitting right now, right? In Duran and in Wong. Okay. And you even get to keep your righty lefty matchup. And then you got Anthony in the three hole, which protects him and which is going to make him, it's going to be less on his shoulders. He doesn't have to carry the team so much. He doesn't have to start the game with put pressure on himself going, okay, I got to get a hit, or I got to do something here to start the game, to get the offense going. And so I think that'll help a lot too. Four hole should be Contreras. There's really no argument there now. He's clearly going to be one of our best hitters. At least right now he is. The 2 home runs in the Lou, and then you have clutch hitting from him as well. I like his personality as well. He brings a little bit of vibrance and energy to the team. I know a lot of other podcasts have been talking about that, but he's really good at doing that. He's really good at bringing that energy and that fight to the team that kind of lacks it a little bit. But Contreras needs to be the 4 hole. Willier for now can be the 5 hole. He broke out of his 0 for 11 streak recently in Minnesota. He had that nice single, just basically to the second baseman, right through the that's not 3-4 hole. Well, yeah, basically, they had a shift on him, and the shortstop was playing directly behind second. I forget. I know they have the shift rule now, but he was. I think it's like as long as you don't get a prep step, as long as you're not crossing second base before the ball's in play, I think it's fine. So yeah, but I remember watching it. So they had a shift on him, and the shortstop was behind second base, and the second, or maybe it was the second baseman was, oh, no, no, no. Willier's a pull hitter. Yeah, okay. So the shortstop was behind second base. They had him shifted there, and then the second baseman was shifted over closer to first because Willier's a pull hitter. That's going to be his tendency. Um, but it was off the end of the bat. I think he might have like chipped his bat, broke it a little bit. But that was really good though, and he shot a one hopper through that hole right where the second baseman would have been playing, and drove in a run. And then I know he collected another hit too. So he definitely broke out of it yesterday in Minnesota, and that was great to see too. Overall, it was great to see the offense fighting back because you're down 11-0 after Crochet gets shelled. Oh, and by the way, too, because I know I haven't touched on this, but I was listening to Cora and Crochet in the post game yesterday, and Cora was just saying, sometimes this happens. Even the best hitters, even the best pitchers get hit sometimes, and they just had Crochet's number today. He was asked about velocity, and I think he was kind of like, well, you can ask Crochet about it. And then when they were talking to Crochet in the post game after Cora, Crochet was telling the reporters and the life and Nessen on the live feed that just yeah, he wasn't feeling the command as well today, and he also wasn't just feeling the velo as well. Like one thing that I will say is that Cora and Crochet both said that he's completely healthy. He feels great. So I don't think it's that. I mean, they could be lying to us. Um, that wouldn't be good. Personally, I think that, he was a reliever with the White Sox, a great reliever, comes over here last year. And for the first time, I think Chicago was working with him as a starter a little bit. You can fact check me on that. But comes over here. No, they were. They were 100% because yeah. He started starting in Chicago for the White Sox. And then coming over here, obviously, we knew his stuff was great, but he had never pitched a full season with that many innings, with that many pitches per game too, as he did last year, with us. And so when he came over and he was doing that, I really think that last year was kind of like, it was a great year, obviously, Cy Young caliber year, at least, Cy Young votes, definitely. Skubal and Skeens probably, did deserve the Cy Young, just because there were a couple of outings where Crochet did get shelled a little bit. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. It was his first year of being a full-time starting pitcher with that many innings, had never done that before in his career. And so what I was going to say is that, I think we got lucky that the velocity was up that much. He was sitting, between 85 to 100 pitches every single start. I know, go back 15 years ago, that's not a lot to ask from a starting pitcher. But one of the biggest changes, in philosophy and just in players as well, is that the stuff is better nowadays, you know? And so when you have guys who are throwing, not throwing, but sitting, sitting 96 to 99, for 80 to 100 pitches every 5 days, that's going to take a toll on the arm, withstanding the genetic freaks like Randy Johnson, you know. But I don't even know if Randy was throwing. I mean, I know Randy was throwing hard, but sitting 96 to 99, I don't know if Randy was sitting that high. But suffice to say, there's only a couple of guys in the world who can sit like that. Like there's a prospect in our system right now, Juan Valera, who's a starting pitcher, and it's insane. I think he topped out at. I was listening to Sox Prospects too. That's another great podcast. You can go check them out. They're the best at Boston prospects. AAA, Double A, Single A, High A, Low A. They're awesome though. Juan Valera right now recorded a fastball at 101.7 miles per hour. He's incredible. He has a gifted arm. He and he's not like that was his high, but he's sitting, I think, between 98 to 101 as a starting pitcher. That's insane. Even Mason Miller, touching 103, touching 104. He doesn't throw that many pitches as a starter does. And so to have a guy like Crochet, that's my point. I think that his arm this year might be, I don't know if he was practicing differently this offseason, if he was training differently, or maybe his body is just tired a little bit, and we're experiencing a little bit of a regression, like a lot of people thought we might with him. It was an amazing year. He's still an ace, but I just think that one of the biggest things with him is that he's a strikeout pitcher, and he even called himself a thrower, not a pitcher. He says he thinks of himself as a thrower. Now, I honestly think that Crochet is at his best when he's pinpointing. I think I think that's kind of an obvious statement to make, but he does need to focus more on locating right now because his velocity has been down this entire season. I mean, he's topping out at 96, 97. And I mean, the average fastball in the majors now is like 95. So if he's not sitting 97 to 99, and then remember too, when we were in the Bronx for the postseason, remember that last pitch, to shut down the Yankees in game one of the wild card series. He hit 100, and that was really cool. And I just don't think we're seeing that velocity from him this year. So I hope he's not injured because we need our ace, but he does kind of have to pitch around a little bit more now because he's not hitting 100. He's not sitting 97 to 99. But hopefully he'll be able to ramp up too. It's the third start of the year, right? Third time through the rotation. But that was definitely troubling to see. But hopefully, like Crochet said in the post game, it was one bad start, and he's gonna wipe it, and he's gonna go back to the drawing board again. I believe in him. The dude is an absolute beast. He's a pig, as Lou Merloni says. It's the pig. But yeah, Velo's got to get back up, or he's got to start spotting his pitches better. Yeah, but I don't want him throwing too many off speeds too. But like, what was really scary, honestly, yesterday was that he was throwing his cutter, and like it was registering at 89, and like that's not normal for him throwing that. I think it's usually sitting like 94, 95, and the cutter was, and he was missing his spots too. That double, that 2-run double that Josh Bell hit off the wall, he did locate on that. He located the fastball. He went outside because for those of you who don't know, the Twins had the scouting report, obviously, on Crochet. And basically, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe they knew like Crochet might have been tipping pitches, or maybe just I don't know. I don't want to say they were cheating, but it was like they knew what pitch was coming, which leads me more to believe that just Crochet did not make an adjustment because the scouting report was going to be that Crochet was going to ambush them with fastballs and cutters on the inside part of the plate. And so with his velocity down and him not making adjustments, they were just sitting on those inside fastballs, just waiting for him to throw it. And that's why you saw like Keyshaw and Bell and Jeffers too. You just saw them banging on those balls because they were just waiting for that inside fastball the entire time, every single at bat. And Crochet was not adjusting. So, and his off speeds were not playing well too. And his velocity was down. So, I think just a bad combination of multiple things occurring that accumulated and came together to kind of lead to a start that just snowballed out of control for Crochet. But we know he'll bounce back. We know that's the kind of pitcher that he is, so he will bounce back. Getting back to the lineup, because it kind of went off on a tangent. I thought it was important to address it, though. Getting back to the lineup, I mean, Marcelo needs to be playing every single day, too. Just like Roman needs to be playing every single day, Marcelo needs to. And I think that he should be batting seventh and then Story, Abreu will be fifth, and Story should be sixth as well. That was something actually uh, that I was most upset with Cora, because Story was struggling in the two hole, and he kind of just left him there to kind of just like sink or swim, and he sank. And he made that adjustment to Story being in the six hole so late, just like so late. And what that does is that insulates Story and protects him in the lineup. It takes the pressure off for him to produce and for him to be the main contributor. And so I just need to see more consistent moves by Cora, more quickly, more time appropriate than what he's been doing right now, because he's acting too slowly. It feels like instead of thinking and using his baseball IQ, he's reacting, and he's also waiting. He's reacting very, very much later than the actual outcomes are occurring. It's like, it's going to be like 6 to 8 performances, games that somebody's, going to have between 2 and 4 strikeouts and, an offer for those 6 to 8 games. And then finally he makes an adjustment instead of like seeing the signs, looking at his at bats, kind of like being a good manager, and then being like, okay, calling him into his office and sitting him down and asking him to communication. I think that we have terrible communication within this organization too. I think there's terrible communication. I think that we're reacting much later and not, and we also don't have a plan. Third, there is no plan. There's seemingly no plan. And it's not like I'm trying to be pessimistic about the team, but there does seem to be no plan. And that is what is most frightening to me, because we have pieces. We don't have a complete roster. No, we don't. That's true. But Breslow, I think I do give Breslow more credit to than other people. Obviously, his in-season acquisitions at the deadline have been atrocious his entire tenure here. And his offseason was lacking this year too on the offensive side. But I give him credit for signing Suarez. It was a strong pivot. Not the pivot we wanted, the one we needed. But like, why did we need the pivot in the first place? Because he wasn't able to get Schwarber. And fine, even if you want to say, okay, Dombrowski was going to re-sign Schwarber. Okay. He was still out there. He was a free agent. He wasn't signed immediately. He was waiting for offers. So Dombrowski came in with a strong one, as he always does. Fine. Alonso's still on the market. You need to sign Alonso. I know he's off to a slow start this year. He's going to pick it back up. He's proven every single year with the Mets. He's a very proven, very complete player. He hits for average. His average has actually been going up, which is awesome. I think it was 272 last year with like 35 to 40 home runs and over 100 RBIs. He's a complete offensive player, and he would smoke the ball at Fenway. Yeah, Green Monster, that'd be awesome. But, he got Contreras, right? And he got Durbin. Now, people have been like really down on Durbin. I do like Durbin. I like him. If you go back and look at his stats from last year, he is a plus glove. And people don't realize too that he played mostly second base throughout the minor leagues. And then he got transitioned to third because they had a need for him in Milwaukee. But yeah, he's still a very good defensive player. And last year, having to learn the position at third mid-season, he still by the end of the year was like 2 to 3 outs above average at third base. I mean, the dude's a good defender. He is a good defender. And he's had some good plays too on the Sox. I know that people get upset about his low throws sometimes. Contreras is a picking machine. So I'm not worried about that at all. And most of the time too, it's just a low throw. Like, it's not even on a hop. Contreras can just reach out and grab it. But It's mostly been about more Caleb's offensive production, but he's been drawing more walks, and he's been starting to collect more singles. Rafaela has I think he has a 9-game hit streak now, which is awesome to see. He needs to play better defense because he's been missing more plays that he would have made last year already as the season started. But yeah, I think that Rafaela needs to be in the 8 or the 9 hole just because he thrives in a lower spot in the lineup, protected, and the pressure being off him, he thrives there. Durbin should be lower. And then even too, when Masataka, because I know that Masa has been one of our best hitters too, this young season. So put him in the 2 hole too. It's been a singles machine. So Duran, Masa, or Wong, or Narvi. I know that Narvi's struggling. He was stringing singles together at the beginning of the year. He can go back to doing that. That's when he's best, when he's shooting the ball the other way. Story's the best when he's shooting the ball the other way too. And then he starts to pull the stuff inside, and then he really starts getting going. But yeah, another great example too is that when Story was in the 2 hole, a lot of offers, a lot of strikeouts, not a lot of production. And then you have that switch to the 5 or 6 hole. And in the Brewers series, he started racking up the RBIs. And then he had another RBI yesterday in Minnesota. So it's I think he's at 12. Yeah, I looked earlier, actually. Story's at 12 RBIs on the season now. And I think 8 have been since he got moved down to the 5 or 6 hole. So I need to see the same thing. And then I need to see Meyer at second base every single day. Meyer and Story should really be switched. Meyer should be playing shortstop, and Story should be at second. Story could DH even, but because of the logjam in the outfield, it's not going to happen. And I'd also argue too that Story, I think, is one of those players where he's impacted by being on the field. He feels like he's in the game, kind of like how Rafi was complaining that he didn't want to be a DH because playing third base helps him stay locked in the game and benefits his hitting, his offense. So I think Story is one of those guys too, as is Duran. So some problems, a lot of problems. A lot of pros as well going on for this season so far. But I think today it's Gray against Abel. I think they were saying that the broadcasters say Abel, maybe. Abel. Yeah, Abel. I'm going to say Abel, though. We got Gray against Abel today, and Gray had a strong outing last game. That was awesome. I'm a big Sonny Gray believer. I think he's going to have a good season. I think those 2 first games were a little rocky, and then that third one he put together was great. I think it was 6 2/3, 2 runs, and it probably wouldn't even have been 2 runs if it wasn't for the errors and the miscues on defense. Could have been 0. Good chance it should have been 0 runs across in 6 2/3 innings. So if Gray's spinning the ball well, like he does, and if he's pinpointing, if he's commanding his pitches, I think we have a good chance at winning today. But again, the lineup is probably going to change again, and that is a big problem with this organization and with this team and with the management. Pete Fazzi has to go too. Look, it's not like I hate the guy or anything, but I don't think he should be here any longer. I think he's overstayed his welcome and that we need a new hitting coach. The hitting coach before Fazzi was great. He was an older kind of guy. Old school, kind of like Tony Gwynn, letting the ball get deeper into the zone. He had that. And I know about the drills too, because my dad would show me the hitting drills because, I played baseball for I played competitively up until this year. And so he had the hitting cone drill where you're keeping the knob and the barrel, following the knob inside the cones all the way through the zone until you're going knob straight to barrel. So you're keeping your barrel in the zone the longest amount of time. Just a good old school hitting coach. And I don't see that with Fazzi. I also do not see that with the driveline guys. I have some driveline experience. I worked out at some locations in California. I live in California, by the way. Um, and I will say our driveline program, here's the thing. It's not only just the programs too. There's some players driveline's really good with. Like some players love it. Some players love driveline um, for strengthening and conditioning and for pitching development and for just power development as well, like for hitting. Um, and driveline is great, just like looking at it objectively. But some guys don't love it because it's very rigid with your workouts, and also because some guys don't feel like they benefit from it because it's not their kind of program that they want to follow. And so if we have kind of non-baseball guys who are leading our driveline program, that can be a big problem because players need to do there's a reason why baseball players are creatures of habit. They need to do it's a long season, it's 162 games, and they need to do what makes them feel comfortable too, because of all the ins and outs of hitting and staying consistent at the plate and being able to endure droughts at the plate and uptakes in velocity. And so when you get very robotic about it and you're just following a driveline protocol that's been developed strictly based on statistics, it can be hard to do sometimes. Very much so. Not just being consistent and like doing it all the time, but just it can be difficult to follow. And so I think that driveline should not like be mandated, especially for the younger guys. I think it should be offered and they should talk to them. But it might also just be a personnel issue. They might have some guys who are not very friendly within the driveline and are very like rigid about it. I think Pete Abraham is our head of development right now in the minor leagues. He's great. He seems great. So I think it's Peter Abram actually. Yeah, I think it's Abram. But I don't know. I think there are some problems with our player development within the organization as a whole, because you see that with Campbell too. And I, for one, am not a fan of them breaking down his swing completely and rebuilding it. That just, as someone who struggled with hitting myself, I've gone through multiple different kinds of variations of swings, making big changes, small changes, mid-season changes, mid at bat changes as well. So mid game changes, off season changes, but just breaking down the way that someone swings completely and trying to change it to a mold for hitting does not seem like a good idea. And it's really good news that Campbell pulled that ball recently in his last game in the minor leagues. It was a double, and he pulled it to left center, and that was a big deal because he'd like been shooting everything the other way with softer contact, and he ripped this ball and he pulled it into the alley for a double, which is really good. I guess I was listening to Ian. Oh man, I'm forgetting. But Ian of Sox Prospects, I was listening to him talk about it, and he's awesome. He's great. And just listening to the podcast, to the new one that came out, and it was really good news. They were feeling good about it too. And these guys know so much about the minor league system as well. I think he just got a job too with Baseball America doing top prospects. He's really knowledgeable. He's Ian Kundle, I think. Yeah. He's really, really smart guy, really knowledgeable, loves the game. So I trust what those guys are saying, but just I'm not a fan of them revamp. I know his swing needed to work, but changing the way someone swings, it's swinging is kind of innate to you. So if you're like, it gets in your brain when someone's trying to teach you new things, and it takes a ton of work. Like he's probably taking like, it's different now, but in the off season, he was probably taking like 500 swings a day, maybe 700, 800 swings a day, and working with their development guys on that new swing that they've been teaching him, just over and over and over again. Soft toss, front toss, bottle caps, um, live ABs, in the batting cage, off the machine, spinners, fastball. So just changing the way someone swings is fundamentally changing something, like the way they think too, the way they process their swing, what they're thinking, how they step, how they rotate, how they plant, how they push back. So I'm interested to see Campbell's development. I think he's going to be a major leaguer, but just I'm really interested to see how that impacts him. I hope it's all positive. But from what I've seen of this development system within the Red Sox, there's no reason for me to be overly optimistic with them revamping. The only reason to be really optimistic is because of Campbell's gift, because of his hard work ethic, and because of his skill level, the talent that we've already seen, how good he can actually be. That's what gives me optimism, not the Red Sox developmental team, and not their driveline team either, because we've seen good players like Harrison came over from the Giants in the Devers trade, pitched well, but didn't pitch for the Red Sox that much. When he came up, he looked pretty good, but then went to the Brewers, and now he looks like he's going to be like a staple in the rotation. Like he could be up to a number 3, like a 3, a 4, or a 5. And then you see Priester struggling in our system because whether some of our guys not liking what they see or something like that, and going over to the Brewers, and he looks like he could be maybe even a 2 in a rotation, a 2, a 3, or a 4, but a mainstay for years in a rotation. And instead you see him regressing here. Why is that? Why are we seeing that with so many pitchers? And I think that, and I'm not trying to pick on the Red Sox development team or anything like that, but they need to be held accountable. They're major leaguers, and this is their job. This is their profession. They get paid a lot of money to do this. And we've not been seeing good results for a while now. Our best hitters were not driveline guys. They were pure hitters. Manny hit a certain way. He had a hitting coach who revamped him. David Ortiz hit a certain way. He didn't follow driveline. So I think there needs to be a reevaluation of the assets and the way that they actually train. And there also needs to be a reevaluation of how they evaluate talent too within the system. And there needs to be a reevaluation of the coaching staff as well, because Cora needs to be playing guys like Meyer every single day, not platooning them, because you are decreasing their overall value and their overall potential to be, because they could be mainstays in your lineup for the foreseeable future. And now you are changing that by not allowing them to get consistent reps every single day. And that is changing what kind of player they could be in the future. And I think you're hurting them. You're degrading their possible potential. So I know I'm not an MLB manager, but sometimes it feels like fans know more about their team and with their insight than people within that organization. But yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I don't know who's gonna see this, but yeah. I don't know how often I'm gonna do these, but it was cool. It was fun. My name's Ryan. It's been a pleasure to be able to talk Sox about you. And yeah, I think this is something that I'm probably gonna do more in the future. It's my first time. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it in podcast form too, just because I like the podcast. They're cool. But just a chance to talk Sox. Yeah, maybe have people on too to talk to them about it. But yeah, be cool. Be cool. All right, guys. Have a good one.